Many of the Salafi masajid are owned by Salafis with money from right within the Salafi community, not taken from any foreign government, not Saudi Arabia or any other government. Also, many individuals within the Salafi communities, they own or run their own businesses. They own bookstores, clothing businesses, overgarment shops, restaurants, eateries, catering companies, hair salons, barbershops, ice cream shops. There's numerous trade contractors, and there's a variety of other businesses. None of this is with the support of any foreign government. Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. So we continue in our responses to the claims of Rashad AbdulRahmaan regarding what he terms Wahhabi Islam and its infiltration in a so-called infiltration in the black community or among black Muslims. And before we begin, a person may ask, well, why give Rashad AbdulRahmaan this much? Why continue to respond to him? And the answer to this is that the goal of Rashad AbdulRahmaan is to bring doubts surrounding the Salafi creed. He wants to bring doubts around the Salafi creed in order to push his own false creed, the creed of the W.D. Muhammad community, that which they learned from their Imam, W.D. Muhammad. And likewise, his goal is to push a black nationalist agenda, which no doubt conflicts and contradicts with the Quran and the Sunnah, the understanding of the companions. So therefore, we highlight the jahl, the ignorance of Rashad AbdulRahmaan, his ignorance of the Salafi creed, his enmity to the Salafi creed, and likewise, the same time, bi-idhnillahi ta'ala, defending the creed of the Salaf al-Salih. So let's listen to what Rashad says next.
And there is an interest, there is a serious design to see to it that you and I, or just to put in general, the African-American Muslims, never rise up to be independent men and independent women, to have our own authority, to have our own leadership separate from them. There's an interest that does not happen. That's just a fact. So many of the people who are attracted to this kind of, or this brand of religious teaching, they are innocent. But the ones behind that influence, they're very guilty. I see them as guilty of the Iblis who didn't make sajda to Adam.
So first we asked Rashad AbdulRahmaan to mention to us in detail how there is this series designed to prevent African Americans from rising up and being independent. Who has orchestrated this and through what means? And addressing Rashad's argument that leaders in the Arab world, and specifically Saudi Arabia, are holding us back as people and asserting their own authority over us, then I ask, what money or salary are we getting from Saudi Arabia as to be compelled to push a particular agenda? And if you claim that Saudi Arabia is indoctrinating black Muslims with certain religious teachings, or Wahhabi strain of Islam, then I already clarified that what Salafis believe is nothing new, and it didn't start with the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia. Salafis, Ahlul Athar, Ahlul Hadith, Ahlul Sunnah wal Jama'ah, Ashab al Hadith. These were names for the people of truth over the centuries who had one belief system, what is found in the Quran and the Sunnah upon the understanding of the noble companions. So again, if that design is coming from Saudi Arabia to hold us back, then what's the incentive? By Allah, Salafis don't want anything from Saudi Arabia except that they continue to aid in spreading the correct teachings of Islam and protect the Haramain from manifestations of shirk and bid'ah, and continue to aid the Muslims worldwide. And may Allah continue to grant them success in doing so. So again, this quote-unquote series designed to prevent African Americans from rising up and being independent, then we request from you detailed proofs with verifiable statistics, not just anecdotal stories which have become your norm. Also, as Salafis learn and follow the pure teachings of the Quran and Sunnah, which teach and encourage the Muslims to guard and seek their provisions, to be independent of the people. And we find this in the Quran and Sunnah, and our scholars teach this, that Islam makes obligatory that a Muslim spends on his children, spends on his wife and family. Islam teaches the Muslims to stay away from begging, to be noble with dignity. This is what we find in the Quran and Sunnah, the same two sources taught in Saudi Arabia. For example, Allah Azza wa Jalla says in His book, فَإِذَا قُضِيَتِ الصَّلَاةُ فَانْتَشِرُوا فِي الْأَرْضِ وَابْتَغُوا مِنْ فَضْلِ اللَّهِ وَاذْكُرُوا اللَّهَ كَثِيرًا لَعَلَّكُمْ تُفْلِحُونَ. And when the Jum'ah prayer finishes, go out within the earth, seek Allah's bounty, and mention Allah abundantly, perhaps you'll be successful. And look how one's provisions and success has been tied to the belief system. Remembering Allah much, making dhikr, while seeking one's provisions after stopping all trading and transactions to establish the Jum'ah prayer, a tremendous act of worship. And this is another proof that shows us that worship and Allah's pleasure takes precedence over wealth and economics. But with the WD community, and before that the nation of Kufr, economics and slogans like do for self is their foundation, not the Aqeedah of Islam. Also in the Sunnah, the Prophet ﷺ, he said that one of you take a bundle of firewood upon his back to sell. It's better for him than asking from the people, أَعْطَوْهُ أَوْ مَنَعُوهُ, whereas they either will give him or prevent him. It also comes in authentic narration. He, alayhi salatu wasalam, he said, no one eats from anything better than what was earned by the toil of his own hands. And Prophet Dawood alayhi salam would eat from the toil of his own hands. So these are the teachings in the Quran and Sunnah which encourage going out to seek halal earnings. Narrations which are taught by Salafi scholars. They teach these ayat and ahadith that encourage the Muslim to be self-sufficient and not relying upon anyone. So in light of these narrations, we do rise up to be independent, as Ahl Sunnah wal Jama'ah are the foremost to adhere to the narrations and the Sunnah. Furthermore, if one was to examine the Salafi communities, they're thriving, walhamdulillah. Masajid are being established at a rapid pace. Many of the Salafi masajid are owned by Salafis with money from right within the Salafi community, not taken from any foreign government, not Saudi Arabia or any other government. Also, many individuals within the Salafi communities, they own or run their own businesses. They own bookstores, clothing businesses, overgarment shops, restaurants, eateries, catering companies, hair salons, barbershops, ice cream shops. There's numerous trade contractors, and there's a variety of other businesses. None of this is with the support of any foreign government. This is the growth witnessed in the Salafi communities. So where is this so-called design against us that hinders us from rising up? And before I close this point, I want to address a statement that I've heard before, and I saw it recently as I've been responding to Rashad AbdulRahmaan's allegations. And it is a slogan that some people have regurgitated to disparage the Salafis. They say they went from the back of the bus to the back of the camel. By this slogan, they want to portray the Salafis as if we're being subservient to the Arabs. Same as what the WDs of old used to say. They want to be like Arabs. Just reworded. Just remixed. So what is intended by their statement? I'll tell you what's intended by their statement. They know that the people of Sunnah return back to the ulama of Islam for clarity and understanding of the religion. And why shouldn't we return back to the ulama of Islam in matters of the religion? Allah tells us, فَاسْأَلُوا أَهْلَ الذِّكْرِ إِن كُنتُمْ لَا تَعْلَمُونَ. Ask the people of knowledge you do not know. Also, the Prophet ﷺ praised the ulama when he said, الْعُلَمَاءُ وَرَثُ الْأَنْبِيَاءِ. The scholars are the heirs of the prophets. But when a person is overcome by black nationalism and perhaps overcome with an inferiority complex, they make a person blind to verses clearly in the book of Allah. And what they don't mention is that the ulama of the Sunnah are not restricted to Arabs. Sheikh Albani was white, Caucasian. Sheikh Muhammad Ahmad al-Jami was Ethiopian. Sheikh Umar Fallat was Nigerian. Sheikh Badi'uddin Sindhi was Pakistani. But all of them ulama of Ahl Sunnah. So the point is, the WD Muhammad community hate that we return Islamic affairs to the ulama. And when a person or people of desires try to separate the ummah from their ulama, this is a sign of misguidance. A sign that people want to push their own agenda. And they know if anyone stands as a barrier between them and them pushing their false agenda, then it's the Salafis, Ahl Sunnah wal Jama'ah. So then, what's their recourse? Their recourse is to spew these pejoratives, such as Wahhabis, Wahhabi infiltration, and slogans like from the back of the bus to the back of the camel. But we can come up with our own slogans too, that fit the WD Muhammad community. We can say y'all went from the back of the bus to the back of the mothership. Many of them, they tout this mass shahada narrative, But many WDs, they still praise the nation of Kufr, who say that the mothership is waiting on the black man. From the conditions of the Shahada, it said Kufr bil-Taghut, disbelief in the Taghut. Allah said, فَمَنْ يَكْفُرُ بِالطَّاغُوتِ وَيُؤْمِنْ بِاللَّهِ فَقَدْ اسْتَمْسَكَ بِالْعُرْوَةِ الْوُثْقَى لَا انْفِصَامَ لَهَا. Whoever disbelieves in the Taghut and believes in Allah has grasped the most trustworthy handhold that will never break. What are the Taghuts? Ibn al-Qayyim explains it. He said, At-Tawaghi kathirun, there are many, but the head of them are five. Iblis, who the curse of Allah is upon. Whoever is worshipped and is pleased with that, Farad Muhammad is included. If it's true that he claimed that as well. Some say Elijah claimed that from Allah knows best. Number 3, whoever calls people to worship themselves. 4, whoever judges with other than what Allah revealed. From that Elijah. Look, he told people to fast in December. Number 5, whoever claims knowledge of the unseen. This includes Elijah and Farad Muhammad. So therefore Elijah and Farad, they're both Taghuts. Where's the disbelief in the Taghut? Which is a condition for one Shahada to be correct. The WDs hold on tooth and nail to this disbelieving group. So again, y'all can say, when we return to the scholars of Islam, from the back of the bus to the back of the camel, that doesn't harm us. But we're going to respond from the back of the bus to the back of the mothership. Because if the first one fits us, then it surely fits y'all. Now look what he says next.
And he brought us into Al-Islam. They should have made resources, if they wanted to really help, they could have made resources available to help without trying to form us and mold us in a particular way. But there are leaders in that world, or in that side of the world, that are dead set that we do not come into the level of independence that I'm speaking of.
So by this we understand that you wouldn't mind taking money from Saudi Arabia to advance your false black nationalist agenda and the erroneous teachings of W.D. Muhammad. And in your words is a refutation of the innovative teachings that you're upon. Because you unequivocally express that you don't want to be molded in a particular way. In other words, you don't want to embrace the pure teachings of the Quran and Sunnah. You, just as W.D. Muhammad before you, want a watered down interpretation of Islam that can accept a black nationalist agenda. And this runs contrary to pure Islam, which raises people based on the adherence to Quran and Sunnah as understood by the noble companions. Islam doesn't elevate people based on race or economic status. This is what I want to address in this video. And inshallah ta'ala, we have one video left, bi-idhnillahi ta'ala. So stay tuned for that. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Sallallahu wa sallam wa barak ala nabina Muhammad.